Okay, so Justin Thomas then. Obviously, great player, been in the world's top 10 for long periods. And what I'd like to do is point out a characteristic in his swing, which I think he handles and uses as a matchup very well. First thing I notice is head position. He's rotated his head behind the ball nicely. And it's interesting that because what he does is there's not a lot of leg coil in the first move of his backswing. But I think he's got a very mobile trunk, so a lot of flexibility. And actually, up to here, you think pretty conventional coil. I think his shoulders are turned at this point roughly 90 degrees. Legs are loaded nicely, it all looks good. There's no noticeable dropping in the left side when he does that. But what he does is he actually turns more than that. He turns his shoulders past the 90 degrees. Mostly when you're teaching people that move, I'll just get rid of the circle. That move, turning as much as that, and therefore creating a bit of an arch in the lower back, usually ends up with players ending up with slightly lateral movement in the downswing. You fall on the ball, they run out of room, they reverse and they get a bit flippy. He doesn't actually do that. He is very good at just looking at the back of his neck here, and when he pulls his arms down and drives his legs in rotation, there is hardly any discernible lateral movement of his neck and the top part of his spine. He just spins to accelerate the club. So the only other player that has a leg action like this that I've noticed recently has been Wilco Nienaber, a very long hitter on the European tour. But he doesn't do that lunge into the ball. He manages to get it back. But because of that arch and the recovery back into a more conventional coil position or uncoiling position on the way down, there's very little lateral movement in his hips. He just creates speed by spinning and gets nearer the ball and then jumps to let the club release fast through the ball, and both feet are nearly off the ground. But if you picture where the back of his neck is all the time during that downswing, and even there, it's in the same place, doesn't move. There's a tiny bit of reverse when he hits the ball. But what he's brilliant at, his arm action is amazing. There's very little club face rotation here. His arms look relaxed and extended, and his collar is just rotating with his arms extended. So he can control it really, really well. I think there's a fair bit of load on his back. Hopefully he's strong enough and he's good enough in his lower back not to end up with injuries. But it's a very dynamic swing, and I think you get a lot of juniors particularly who turn the shoulders a lot and they don't have strength within that extra turn. So when they start down, they fall on the ball instead of rotating to accelerate the club. So it's a great swing, great player, and just observance. I thought it's not really a critique. So I welcome everybody's thoughts. Cheers.